Yeah, I was getting back into poker a little bit, sneaking away to Atlantic City, taking like a 3-hour Chinatown bus from Manhattan to AC, and then it costs like $10 to go on the bus, but you get a $25 slot credit and a $25 table credit. And I was just going there to grind some 1-2, and if you play for 5 hours, you get to spend the night for $22 resort fee, and that was like living the dream, you know.
Welcome to episode 8 of All In with Colin. I am your host, Colin Capone. Thank you for being here. Today, I'm going to talk with rising star Blaise Bourgeois about his journey into poker. We'll learn a bit about him, how he found the game, and how he recently made the switch from sports media to poker media. Also, how he balances work and poker life in Latin America. I'll also give you my tournament of the week. That's a high-value tournament I think we should all be playing. But first, we're going to kick off the show with some shout-outs to people who've had recent success. Congrats to KJ Greenone. Took first out of 9,052 entries. It was only a $3 buy-in. It was a Sunday Bounty King Baby GG World Festival event. He took first for $1,580 from $3. Congrats to Terrence Reed. While covering the Choctaw main event, he played the $130 nightly Deep Sack side event. Took first place, shipped it for $2,000. Well done. Like the double dipping. All right, congrats to Mr. Good Deeds. If you're not following him on Twitter, check him out at Mr. Good Deeds. He took home the $54 Turbo Bounty on GG on May 3rd for $2,400, and again 2 days later on May 5th for $2,800. If he keeps winning it, they may have to change its name. And finally, congrats to former guest Glenn Cragen. He played his first ever WSOP circuit event. It was held in Calgary. It was a $250 buy-in. He made it to four-handed. He was just short stack. They agreed to do a chop 4 ways, 10K each, play out for the ring. And he came back and he won it. So he got himself the 10K plus the beautiful World Series of Poker ring. Good job, Glenn. All right, there's a lot of great poker going on all around the world the next couple months. You know, you got the Moneymaker Tour starting soon in Florida. You got WSOP Circuit in Calgary. You got the GG World Festival, Scoop on Poker Stars. And of course, the World Series of Poker starts in less than a month. If you run deep in anything and want a shout out, hit me up on Twitter at Poker Capone or leave me a voicemail on Spotify. All right, my next guest is originally from Rochester, New York, but for the past 3 years, he's been living in Latin America, playing poker and freelancing for numerous poker media outlets, including Poker News, World Series of Poker, Poker.org, and currently with Katina Media. And he once scored 14 goals as a rookie with the Purchase College Panthers soccer team. I am very excited to welcome Blaise Bourgeois to the show. Blaise, welcome to All In with Colin. How are you?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. So I'm from Canada, so I'm big into hockey, obviously, so I'm not much of a soccer fan, but I do know it's hard to score in soccer, so 14 goals in any season is pretty legit.
Yeah, wow. It feels like it was yesterday, but it actually was 12 years ago. And yeah, unfortunately, I started that season scoring 14 goals in 9 games, and yeah, that was already the school record, and then I got hurt. And we ended up losing the last 5 games of that season to miss playoffs by a single game.
No.
It was brutal. That like Hollywood disaster. They ended up the last game of the season. We ended up playing the champions from the year before. It's all tied. We need a win. They do overtime in college soccer. So 5 minutes left. I end up hitting the post on a corner kick, and they immediately go down the other end and score.
No.
A season. Yeah. So that's what I actually remember from that year.
The pain. So do you still play at all?
So down here, I'm like the gringo that can actually kick a ball around. I play pickup games. I do foot volley, which is a combination of soccer and volleyball. It's basically volleyball without using your hands. Same
cool.
rules and everything. And then, yeah, I like kick it around on the beach. They call it keepy ups in England, called Altinia down here. It's just like 4-man circle where you just keep the ball up however you can.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay, so I've been following you on Twitter for a while now, and I've really enjoyed how much energy and positivity you display. doing a lot of highlights over on Twitter about a bunch of the tournaments you were playing recently, and the mystery bounty one when you opened up an envelope and you won a nice bounty, and then you went through, you were so jacked and you were like high-fiving everyone in the room. I loved it, and I thought as soon as I watched that video, I was like, I need to get this guy on the podcast. I just loved it.
That was great. Yeah, got the second biggest pull there for like $6,000. It was a $200 tournament. So like already getting into day two, I only played the very last bullet or the last flight of the mystery bounty because I was busy with BSOP, and Felipe Ramos co-owns that poker club, and I'm a friend with him. So, like, I knew he was playing there. I just wanted to pop in, say hi, and I was like, fuck it. I'll play this flight. I got time. And down there in that poker club, instead of doing, like, 12% of players that qualify, instead of 12% of entries that qualify, it's 12% of players. So you end up getting, maybe 7% of entries might make it to day two.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So when you get to day two, it's even though it's a bounty tournament, you're already like 2x your buy-in plus whatever bounties you may get. And the top bounty was a car. My girlfriend really wanted me to pull the car.
No, I don't get it.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, bad news, didn't get the car. Good news, 6 Gs. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. All right, so let's roll back a bit. So how did you get started in poker? Like, what initially drew you to the game?
Okay, so my first encounter with poker, I was at a family party when I was 12 years old. Yeah, I'm already like a math geek. I'm in like math clubs and everything. Playing some basic card games like, hearts and solitaire and spades, that kind of thing. And so I see everybody, like the adults and some of the older kids, playing 2-card poker, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I just stare at them for a couple hours watching how the game's played, and then maybe the next few months I go to the local library around town, because I didn't have internet at home. So I took out some books. I looked up how to play. I end up like on pogo.com and playing like the free poker, kind of being like, all right, okay, I picking up on some patterns, how to bluff, how to play, basically. Started with hand rankings and moved my way up. And then the next time we had a family party, I borrowed $20 from a family friend. I sat down. It was like 20 players. I ended up winning the whole thing.
Nice.
And throwing like bluffs and faces. And yeah, it was like, yo, I need to keep doing this.
That's awesome. So then you grind a lot of online as well, right? So how did you start playing more live, or did you go immediately to online at that time?
So, I mean, I was only 12 years old. This was over 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So no going straight to online. But when I was like 18, I was on Ultimate Bet playing like play money and free rolls. Because, I mean, I grew up in a super broke family. I didn't have like poker money,
Yeah.
So when I was 18, I played these free rolls, and like one of the highlights of my life at the time was winning like a 4,000 player free roll for $50 and getting that physical check in the mail. I waited like 6 weeks just because I wanted to have the check, and at one point I framed it. I was so proud of myself. And then there was this like sketchy neighbor down the street having like $5 home games. I end up, tiptoeing my way over there at some point, playing those like anywhere from $5 to $20, like
awesome.
Two table tournament max, doing that. Not the safest environment for a kid who's 18, but we got by.
You got by. I remember doing similar with the Poker Stars with those free rolls. I would play, and there were just thousands of people in those, and you'd win like $1. But
Yeah,
I remember doing it, and
right.
you're just trying it. But it felt cool, and it was exciting when you had a deep run still.
Sure, and then you can play those 10-cent tournaments, like then you get to play with the big boys.
Yeah, exactly.
But as far as my current grind though, like nowadays, so I ended up doing like a little bit of full tilt with like when I was 21 until Black Friday, and then I went to college and I kind of forgot about poker. I kind of put it on the back burner. I was playing soccer. I was actually pursuing a professional soccer career because of how well it was going. So I was playing fourth division soccer in Florida during the summers, and having shortened semesters so I could we even played. But I was also studying mathematics, and I was able to, for my senior project, do like number theory and then that's when I was like, oh, I should do like poker theory in this. And then eventually I went to get a master's and did sport management and sports analytics, and that's when poker theory, I started studying that more because it was more analytics based than really sports in general. I was like, yeah, poker's a sport, right? Let me get on that, because my two main interests, were, I was getting back into poker a little bit, sneaking away to Atlantic City, taking like a 3-hour Chinatown bus from Manhattan to AC, and then it costs like $10 to go on the bus, but you get a $25 slot credit and a $25 table credit. And I was just going there to grind some 1-2. And if you play for 5 hours, you get to spend the night
Nice.
for $22 resort fee. And that was like living the dream,
That's awesome.
Got to study poker, get to play some cool AC games, and then it went on the back burner again until the pandemic, really. Like I tried grinding a little bit. I was no good. I wasn't studying. Put it on the back burner. Then once the pandemic came, I was trapped in a hotel in Medellin, Colombia for 3 months, and decided to buy the Raise Your Edge course for a very good percentage of my net worth at the time. It was like $1,000. I might have had 3 or 4,000 in my name, but I was like, I ain't spending money anywhere else right now, and I'm still working online, so whatever, let's go for it. And I remember like 2 days after studying, I come in like second for $700. I'm like, all right, it's almost paid off.
Nice. I remember during the pandemic how everyone was doing so. Like my wife, suddenly she's ordering all this stuff to learn how to bake bread. Like she was baking bread like every few days. And then we haven't had bread now since, for like a year. I said that the other day. I said, when are you going to make some bread again? She's like, oh, maybe next pandemic. So
all right. What's your favorite breads though? Are you a sourdough guy? You a pumpernickel or rye?
You know what? I really liked when she did the sourdough.
Sourdoughs are fun to bake because of the crosshatch in the middle. It looks beautiful.
Nice. So you're also a baker?
No. This house that we have, unfortunately, doesn't have an oven. But like all the cool kids, I just got an air fryer.
Oh, nice.
Like, maybe a couple weeks ago. So I've been experimenting with that.
Okay, I have an air fryer, and that thing, I told my wife, this is like the best invention in the last like 20 years. Like we use it every single day in my house. Like I got kids, they come home from school, they're throwing whatever, the pizza pocket in there. Like nothing goes in the microwave anymore because it's crispy and delicious.
I haven't used a microwave in maybe 6 years, except for a coffee.
Wow.
Like leftover coffee. That's the only reason I use a microwave.
All right. So how did you get into the poker media transition then?
Okay, so I was a soccer journalist for 5 years, up until last November. Actually, that's when I started working remotely, and that's how I was able to move out of the U.S. back in November 2019. So it was last January 22, where I came home from Latin America. I forget where. Oh, this was just after the crazy part of the pandemic. I end up saying, "Hey, I feel a little more confident in my poker game. I really don't have any live experience other than like underground games in Latin America, and having played these cash games back in the day. Let me see where I'm at. I'm gonna go to Vegas. So while I'm in Vegas, I'm playing these $100 dailies, $200 dailies. Still working my online job. I'm grinding out of a hostel that I'm paying like $30 a night for, and sneaking out at night when I can, trying to get there in time for the dailies. And while I'm in the middle of all this, at some point, somebody comes up to me. I forget who, but the new, like, me being a soccer reporter came up, and I was playing poker, and they were like, "Hey, Poker News is always looking for people. They've got an application online." So I was probably high in my hotel room or my hostel room at 3 a.m. I was like, I'll fill out this application. It's 5 minutes of my life, and they end up getting back to me while I'm in Brazil, and I end up working the World Series last year.
That's awesome. And then recently, I seen you were in the Bahamas covering the PSPC.
Yeah, so I did a few more events for Poker News. I did EPT Barcelona, and then I worked the Mediterranean Poker Party in Cyprus. Then I did some freelance work while I was still out there. I had played the circuit event in Rosvadov. Then I left for Malta to go play another one, and then they called me to go work WSOP Europe. So then I went there. And then, recently I got picked up by poker.org to work PSPC in the Bahamas, which was amazing because I got to see a bunch of my friends again. I got to see a lot of people who I used to work with at Poker News. A lot of the players that I associate with are all there. Like, anybody who's anybody in poker was at PSPC. So that was fun. And it was only a week. So it wasn't like the 7 weeks of work grind at WSOP. Just in and out, 5 days of work, party at the end, get out, and I went right to playing an event in Rio afterwards.
All right. And so from there, you've been playing a lot live, and it seems like you've been doing real well. So do you think, like, did you learn anything from the media side that has helped you as a player?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. When you're in the media and doing live reporting, you get to see like thousands of hands, and those hands accumulate. And basically, I pick up on patterns really easily. So you get to pick up on patterns. When's this player like going to bluff all the time and get caught? When's this just going to be a triple barrel every time? And when you combine that and studying, and then you talk to these poker pros, and you get to ask them about why they played a hand a certain way, and you gain so much insight, and you make so many good connections, and you pick up on so many insane patterns that if you play it all and you take it seriously, it's an immense help, incredibly helpful.
So that's amazing. Do you think are you gonna continue to do both?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a guy that even if I became good enough to just play poker and do nothing else, I still want like some sort of stable income. I would definitely be on the media side, whether it's on camera, on a mic, behind the scenes, doing whatever. I would definitely still want to be a part of the action in that regard.
Great. Yeah, and it seems right now with poker is kind of going through another boom here. There's probably a lot of opportunity for things popping up all over the place with the media.
I mean, the game's growing, and it will continue to grow. There's no doubt about it.
So down in Brazil, how's the game? It seems like it's huge over there as well. What's it like being there?
So basically, casinos are illegal in Brazil. So you can have poker clubs, and then you can have these organized poker tournament events where they can also host cash games. And so a lot of these players that you play against are online grinders. So essentially, these guys, a lot of them have really good theoretical tendencies, but they have live tells all over the place just because they're not experienced live. And the Latin game tends to be more aggressive. They tend to bluff more, so you get to pick them off a lot more. And they tend to respect my 3-bet and 4-bets a lot. So I'm probably getting more folds than I should at the moment. But yeah, they know what they're doing down here. But the games are surprisingly a lot softer than I expected.
So when you go back to Vegas and play, you notice a difference between the caliber of opponents, or
It's not that it's a difference in caliber. There's just a difference in, like, there's going to be a wide variety of player types in Vegas compared to Brazil. You're gonna have your old man coffees. You're gonna have the guy that 3-bets every single fucking hand. Like, that's gonna be more of a thing in Vegas than it is in Brazil.
okay, yeah, that would make sense. And what's it like? As being from North America, living in Brazil, how are you treated? What's it like living in Brazil?
I mean, I like having fun at the poker table no matter what. So, like, I bring good energy, they reciprocate, and Brazilians are full of good energy anyway. Yeah, like, occasionally one or two of them will know some English. My Spanish is pretty good. I'm picking up a little bit of Portuguese here and there, so we're good. Those games are fun. And then, like, living in Brazil, I live in a small little hippie village full of surfers and Argentinians mainly. So half the people speak Spanish here. So I get by pretty well. It's one of those places where you walk down the street and you recognize most of the people that aren't here on vacation. But yeah, it just some really nice small town vibes, really good food, really good drinks, fresh fruit, fresh seafood. Like, everything's on the coast. It's really good living.
Sounds like you're living the dream. I
Uh,
I, I feel a little bit of Jeff Gross vibes with the soccer college star, the move to Brazil. Like, I think Jeff soccer, he has a Brazilian wife. Is he someone that you kind of looking up to, or
Jeff Probst, I haven't watched.
Jeff Gross?
Oh, Jeff Gross. No, I don't really look up to really anybody in the poker world. I kind of am just competing with myself. I just
Okay.
want to keep getting better. That's always been my mindset, and I think that's just how it's gonna continue. I don't care if there's people getting better around me. I'm gonna try harder.
That's awesome. So what are your thoughts on the current state of, like, the poker industry, kind of from being on both sides, playing, media?
It's a difficult question. Yeah, I love that it's growing. I love going to these live events. They're so fun. But, like, these silly heads up feuds and these shows like Hustler Casino Live just showing bad poker and ridiculous antics, and it's just not for me. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Like, yeah, they get their 10,000 views or whatever, and I'm sure it brings a ton of beginners and new players into the field that we need for poker to continue to thrive. But number one, I'm not entertained at all. I'm eye rolling the entire time, and two, I'm not convinced all these games are ethically sound. And that could be controversial. I just I don't have a good feeling with what I'm seeing out there.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I don't watch most of those streams. I've tuned in because there's hype, and I tune in and I watch for a few minutes, and then it's almost like, when, like, Desperate Housewives is on my TV or something.
It's
Like,
reality TV.
Yeah,
It's reality TV, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather watch. I think you saw that clip from Toledo where the guy lost in Omaha and he slams his chips on the table. Like, cool. I'd rather see a boring, dimly lit game of 2-5 with the guy in the corner, potentially being a threat to everybody in the room. I'd rather watch that than like the bright lights of a private game with a bunch of YouTubers and TikTokers I've never heard of before.
Yeah, I agree, and it feels like I've had some conversations with some friends, and it feels like they they're all buying in, they play, and then at the end it feels like, do they just square up? Like it almost seems fake.
Like they're playing this $1 million game or whatever. Like maybe they're just inflating everything by 100, and doing it for TV because for whatever reason, people are more attracted to these bigger buying games. It's like, what you could play 1,000 big blind poker at a 1-2 table in Texas, like
Yeah.
show me that, or rather like a skilled 5-10 game, where they play 1,000 bigs deep or whatever, 100 bigs deep or 200 bigs deep, rather than these guys that literally never existed before, the show like Hustler Casino Live came out, and suddenly they're sitting back with $1 million. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's hard to believe a little bit. I personally like when I see, like when you were at the PSPC, I was watching the live stream, and I love the stories when you have the amateur sitting there who won the Platinum Pass, or you got a guy who's going to be playing the World Series of Poker main event who won it on a free roll. Those are the stories that I like. Life changing. Sure. They appreciate every moment and they're soaking it in. Right. That's what I find.
Like being a part of these live events and covering live events. These kind of stories happen almost at every main event that you see. Like it, and this is why I, am a big advocate for, showing tournaments from day one. Why I want to see these super pros getting coolered like by hands that they shouldn't from like Debbie in Omaha, or and see these guys who, they want a super savvy to play in this, 1,700 main event, and they go and final table it, like I want to see that. And there's so many storylines that lead up to a final table, whereas like, Poker Go, they're just showing ICM final table poker with robots all the time. Like, I don't want to see that. I'd rather watch the day ones of those same tournaments than the final table.
Yeah, you know what? I like your idea there. I like seeing, and then you're seeing the whole field and what actually is what happens, to get to that end stage, right?
Sure. And like looser, real pro moves instead of just like the correct ICM play, that requires very little actual skill. It's more like memorization when you get to a final table.
For sure. Yeah, that's I hope with so many media outlets covering poker and so many different poker shows, we'll see more of that type of stuff. I think, that we are going to see more. Like it's booming, right? So
it's booming. There's such a big hole in the ecosystem right now. Like there's an entire WSOP circuit and MSPT and everything else that goes around all year long, and there's zero video coverage. There's nothing. And like, what else do we have coverage of these super high rollers and like the series at the Win twice a year and PSPC and WSOP. I mean, there's so much more poker that can be covered.
Awesome. So there's huge opportunity out there. Okay, I got a few community questions. This one's
community questions.
Community questions. I put it out there on Twitter saying I was going to have you on, and a few people replied. So Terrence Reed, what was it like getting bluffed off top deep in a Bahamas tourney by your buddy Terrence Reed? Are you still mad? And less importantly, how many mangoes can you buy in Brazil with your winnings this past month?
All right, so this was like 14 players left in this $330 event. I had literally gotten off the plane like 5 hours beforehand. So we just hopped in this thing, and we both ended up sitting next to each other. I'm under the gun. He's in the big blind. Small board, first 4 cards, and ace on the river. I had ace king suited. He ends up raise shoving all in with like pocket fives. I think I'm like a 4, 6, 8, 9 ace board, and I laid it down. I laid down the ace king. But not mad at all. He's a very smart player. He's going places as well. He's a poker org colleague as well. So we're gonna have many more opportunities to play against each other down the road.
Oh,
Good boy.
awesome.
And then mangoes. I eat way too many mangoes. I make fresh juice every day, every single day.
Oh
So
man, that's amazing. All right,
lots of
Chris Robinson. How does Blaise balance working with Poker Org and other media outlets and playing poker so he gets the most out of both? So how do you find
so
balance?
yeah. So I've got my freelance jobs that I work from home doing like continuing media stuff. I work with Jocka coaching behind the scenes. And that kind of stuff I can kind of do at my leisure as long as I get the work done for the week. Then it doesn't matter when I get it done. So I get time to grind, of course, and study. And then the poker org and the poker media work, honestly, it's just on a tournament to tournament basis. So yeah, I might have a tournament somewhere I'm getting flown to, and I get to fly back. And I might decide, hey, don't fly me back home. Fly me somewhere where they're doing a tournament, and or a series, and I'll go there for a week. So
Awesome.
actually, it actually helps me get in like a warm up stage to go play for a week and a half. So it actually helps me out a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like a great combination. And then you're not having to pay, your expenses are cut down a bit as well. And then you're
Yes,
already there, and then go take advantage and, find the area that you're in, right? Do a bit of exploring and play some poker.
for sure. It's not a bad life.
And then Caleb Grant asks, I don't even know what this means, but he says, if you could scran only one type of scran for the rest of your life, what would you scran?
I would scran ramen noodles and pizza. No. I would scran ramen noodles and tacos. Yeah,
What does that
ramen
mean,
noodles and
scran?
tacos.
What-
Scran means unbelievably good food.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. All right. I know you're selling on Staking, so if people want to buy a piece of Blaze because you're running hot, how do they find you?
Yeah, just go on Stake Kings, search for Blaze under player directory, or you can just click on the player directory, and I'll be there. I'm selling pieces for KSOP Special, which is the biggest King series of poker of the year. It's a $3 million guaranteed series, and the main event is a $700 million guaranteed main event with $200,000 guaranteed for first place. I'm playing that. I'm playing a couple of mystery bounties, a PKO, and a high roller. So yeah, all that action is on Stake Kings. They can direct message me on Twitter at Blaise Bourgeois or on Instagram at Poker Blaze. If you reach out to me directly, you can even get a small discount.
Awesome. Okay. When I was researching you a little bit for this interview, I came across a blog post that you wrote in the 2015, and you ended it with some great advice. So find a way to progress in at least one aspect of your life every day. Whether it's going for a run, doing research, working on a website, reading a book, do something every single day that accomplishes one goal or another. You'll never feel down about yourself ever again. All right, I really like that. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to tell my kids that because I think it's great advice.
And once you actually get in that pattern, I kind of have to do that. And I haven't heard myself say that in a long time. But it still rings true. I don't take like a full day off. I'll never be in bed doing absolutely nothing. I never can do that. I just can't.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, Blaise, I know I'll let you get back to the beach. This has been great. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to continue to watch your journey. I see big things from you. I love the positivity. And thank you for coming on All In with Colin. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, brother, man. Anytime. Have me back soon.
I will. Okay, thanks, man. And now it's time for my tournament of the week. This is a high-value tournament I think we should all be playing. I've mentioned this one before, but I got to bring it up again because this week it's even better. Right now on GG Poker, they're running the 2023 World Festival, and as part of it, they're running a $50 Global Millions celebration with, get this, a $2,023,000 guaranteed. You see that, $2,023,000 for 2023? Amazing. They're going to be running day ones around the clock, so no matter where you live, you can get in the action. The day ones play until 12% of the field is remaining, and after that, your chips are carried over into day two on May 15th. You may enter multiple day ones, but only your larger stacks carried over into day two. Okay, so you're not going to be at a huge disadvantage in case people are firing multiple bullets. And they have all sorts of low bind satellites, so plenty of opportunities if you want to try to get in much cheaper than $50. Let me know if you make day two, and good luck, everyone. All right, there's a sad violin again, so that means we've reached the end of episode 8 of All In with Colin. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe on Spotify, and also tell a friend to check out the show. Next week, we're going to have a great episode. We're going to be giving poker satellite strategy tips, and I got the master. He literally wrote the book on them. Dara O'Kearney's on the show, so you don't want to miss it. How's it going?
Hey, what's happening, brother? How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. You?
Another day in paradise, man. Another day.
How was the beach?
Good. Ran into my friends there. So the tide was out. So there was like 1,000,000 feet of beach to just kick a ball around and sip on some light beverages, and nice, sunny, not too hot today. It was very prime.
So what kind of temperature do they get this time of year there?
I mean, it's going to be full-on rainy season in 2 months, like 16 inches plus a month.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like half an inch a day when it gets to peak rainy season. So that's about June. Right. And then like the summertime, which is January here, it can get 95, 100 degrees every single day. Right now, it's like right in that beautiful zone, like 85-ish. Or maybe a little bit less, and now there's like a nice breeze because of all the rain. So it's like the calm before the storm over here.
Nice. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, so here we're just getting out of winter, but it's real sunny, so it's nice. It's sunny, but but we're above zero now, so it's good.
I like this hockey season. It's playoff hockey season for y'all.
Exactly. So. My Oilers, they got a chance to finish first in the conference for the first time since we had Wayne Gretzky back in the day. So.
Right.
I'm hoping for a deep playoff run. So, yeah.
The Sabres missed the playoffs again. Who would have thought,
Oh, man. And they always start off so good, the Sabres, the last few years, right? And then you're like, this is the year.
It ends up starting really well, and then they lose like 15 games in a row in December. And then, it's like trying to play catch up at the end, and they never make it. Yeah,
and it's hard because, like, you're trying to, if we win all these games, we have a chance. But then whoever you're chasing just never loses near the end. It feels like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I always joke, like, I only watch hockey when the Sabres are good. So like, I might go watch like a 3 or 5 game span at the beginning. And then usually I then, pop back out of the country. And I'm not going to go through the effort of streaming a hockey game when I can stream stuff like, I'm a much bigger baseball, basketball, NFL fan. So,
okay, awesome.
And soccer fan.
Well, I'll do a quick intro if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
All right. Okay, all right. My next guest is originally from Rochester, New York, but for the past 3 years, he's been living in Brazil playing poker and freelancing for numerous poker media outlets.
Sorry, that's not true.
No?
That's not true. No.
Okay. Oh, no. What did I get wrong there?
I am from Rochester, but
Okay.
I've been in Latin America for most of the last 3.5 years. I moved out of the U.S. in November 2019. I've only
Okay.
been living since December.
Okay. So you've been living in Latin America.
Mostly in Latin America,
Okay.
yeah.
So if I just change it to Latin America, we should be good.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for correcting that.
No worries.
All right.